Hello and welcome once again to the Sophie Scholl Society. Sophie, the girl in Nazi Germany that spoke about her political action based on theology, good philosophy. At great risk, she made her point of view known through the White Rose Society, and it cost her her life. Thankfully, in the U.S., we can still talk about our political views, but people shrink back from it when religion is discussed with it. With me today is Tim Hagberg, and Tim did something very daring one time. He ran for Congress in Pennsylvania, and he's here with me today, and I'll just throw out that softball question and say, Tim, do you talk about religion and politics, and why?
I don't think you can separate the two. I believe that every political position that people hold is ultimately based upon their philosophical or their theological belief system. What is good, what is right, what is wrong. Every law has a moral component to it. And that idea you can't legislate morality, people have given up on that one, fortunately, because it just didn't stand the test. Every single law we have has a moral component to it. So if you have or possess any type of morality, that affects your position on laws and the political sphere.
Yeah, and your morality is basically based on your religious beliefs or your theology.
Oh yeah, I'm involved politically because I am a Christian and a believer. I believe that God has ordained government, and that when God ordains an institution for the good of mankind, that for believers to disengage with that institution is to forego one of the blessings that God has given us.
So you're not like some people would say, you compartmentalize your religion over here while your politics is separate from your personal, private religious life.
I just don't understand that at all. I don't see how a person can possibly, that is a worthless religion. That is not a true faith. That is, if it doesn't affect how you live and conduct yourself and the things you advocate for in society, well, what good is it? It's just nothing more than some type of wishful thinking. Mel, I'm going to throw this in the middle of our conversation. Joe Biden recently spoke of the soul of our nation. Mm-hmm. To use that type of verbiage there, clearly, I haven't run it through. There's something there.
Right. You're getting to the aspect of theology, God, the spiritual. And isn't it interesting? I also heard him say he wants to make America moral again.
There you go. How's he going to do that?
Yeah,
legislation.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's his point of reference for that morality?
You'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Will the press get that deep with him?
Probably not, no. There are a couple points I'd like to make.
Sure.
A couple things that I think that I learned when it comes to any type of a political discussion. I'll share them with our audience, and they can do with them as they see fit. When you have, one of them is something that I didn't originate this. I can't remember where I picked this up, but it is a very simple rule to remember in any conversation, discussion, debate. He who defines the terms wins. He who defines the terms wins. Remember the lawyer in Luke 10? Who is my neighbor? When our questioned our Lord, love your neighbor as yourself. And he said, well, who is my neighbor? He understood that if he could define neighbor, I'm good. And the point there is that if I can define good, bad, if I can define or identify you as a hater, a racist, a bigot, I don't need to debate with you. It's done. You're a reprobate. The conversation's over. All I need to do is to make that label stick. Good. What is good? What is moral? According to Joe Biden, I don't know. So keep that in mind. And when you have discussions, if we've talked about having discussions with some people with opposing views on your program there, you've mentioned that. getting to the definition of terms would be one of those things that's worth doing. The other one, other point I'd like to make very quickly, in the political sphere, you will hear about centralists or moderates. It is my opinion and belief system that that is an illusion. There are no moderates, there are no centralists. What I mean by that is conservatism is fixed. Thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not steal. Progressivism is by definition in motion. And whenever the distance between two objects or two positions becomes greater, the distance to the middle becomes greater. And what I'm saying is that you are either a conservative or you are a liberal moderate in process. Take the homosexuality, gay marriage agenda. Started out, what we do behind our doors in our bedroom is none of the government's business. Proceeded to equality, and now is at the position of a select hate speech. You dare not criticize this movement. That's a progression.
Tim, I think you diagnose the situation very well, because we see this so-called center continuing to move to the left, not to the right.
Exactly. The right is fixed. Conservatism is fixed. Should be. Like I said, thou shalt not steal, unless of course it's for a really good cause. Or I really think we ought to. You know, that's the kind of logic that we're confronted with. And there's none of this just says don't steal, don't steal.
Right. And we see this so-called center drift its way leftward, as you so well illustrated with marriage. It started out with what we do behind our bedroom door is none of your business.
Yes.
Now they wanted to make it our business by using the term equality.
They're teaching it in the schools.
Right. And then this term equality eventually came to evolve as marriage equality. And now we see what we have today as the left deceptively used language to take the so-called middle and make it drift in their direction.
Could John F. Kennedy win the Republican nomination for president today?
That's a good question. Very good question.
I don't know.
Right. Right.
Not if you base it on some of the things that he said. Maybe, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Tim, anything else that you would like to add with respect to religion and politics, your involvement, and your sense of perception as to what's going on in our day and time?
All I have to say concerning those things is not everyone's called to, I think, to participate in the political sphere in some way. Not everyone's called to actually run for political office. But I would just leave you with this. I didn't really stand a chance, quite frankly, and I understood that. But the duty is ours, and the results are in the hands of God. I believe that was George Washington that said that.
I think it was John Adams, actually.
If that is your conviction, you will not regret giving people the opportunity. I hope and pray that someone now steps forward and runs for office to give me someone to vote for, even at the local levels, or particularly at the local and congressional and Senate levels, where I think our greatest need is. And that's all.
Yeah, thank you, Tim, for joining me here today on the Sophie Scholl Society.